Alright, this is a video that's going to show you how to do some final mastering. When you're done recording your songs in a studio, in a professional studio, you would pass them along or send them on email to somebody who does the mastering for you. They put it into their program just like this, and they will spend a lot of time looking at the fine details. So here's the first one that I would recommend. So I've made a song that's got two different parts, just so you can hear quickly, two half sections, I guess, so you can hear some different things. But the first thing that someone might do is play around with the tempo. So the tempo marking is right here. You can just move this dial up. Let's try it.
But you gotta start somewhere up in the sky. All you gotta do is find it, cause I went up on mine. Oh, start rapping to the cross, swap up like the original from the house.
So you can spend time at different tempos until you find one that you really like, and I think a little slower felt good to me. So I'm going to go from 90 down to 85. And then you can set that. Right, here's 85. So that's one thing that you will do when you're finalizing your song before you post it to the world, or send it to your producers, or send it to the radio stations. The next thing that each mastering technician would do is they would double click on every sound and just see if there's any way to improve any of the performances of any of the musicians. So let's say we're looking at this one. You maybe compress it. Now what compression does is it makes anything that's soft volume a little louder and anything that's loud volume a little softer. So it squishes everything towards one volume, so you're not always turning up and down your radio station when you're playing music on your car. You're not always messing with it. So if you've ever listened to like classical radio, you have to turn it up, then you have to turn it down. It got too loud because they use actual dynamics. But pop music is usually very compressed, so I'll show you what I mean. Now it's very subtle, but we took out some of the volume changes. I can probably give a better example with something like this drum beat. It's got some soft parts in it and some loud parts in it. Basically, it makes everything louder and everything softer, so it's all one volume. So you literally would spend a lot of extra time. I'm not expecting my students to spend that much time, but you can then develop each object with a little bit more shape to it. Now, stuff like that doesn't make a huge difference to people who are in the creative mode, but when you're making sure it's going to sound good on a car stereo and on someone's phone and on someone's Bluetooth speaker and on headphones, right, and maybe on a CD player, you have to make sure that everything is exactly the way you want it. You can add other fun things like reverb. And of course, with all of these, there are presets that are fun. So literally spending time with each sound, going through and clicking on each and every one of these. It takes hours and hours and hours. The guy who mastered our CD last summer probably spent 200 hours just on 10 songs. And you just have to painstakingly go through and just listen to one thing at a time. Really listen carefully, take a look at how you can make it better, if you can at all. And the overall effect after you've done that is that things sound a lot better. So compressing, you can also compress the whole thing, the whole performance. If I double click on and do the whole arrangement, I've got solo on here, but I can compress the whole arrangement. That's going to be important too. So now I've messed with the tempo, I've changed each object, and I've compressed it. One of the last things that I would do then is check the volumes and make sure everything is exactly the way you want it. And that's by opening the mixer right here. Play it. So you'll have to make decisions about that. One really fun thing that really makes it sound like a real band on stage is that you can put different instruments in different positions on the stage. For example, if you want the drummer to be on the left side of the stage, you would pan left, and if someone was listening with headphones, the drums would only come out of the left ear. It makes it sound a lot more real. And then I could put the bass player on the right side of the stage. And right now you're not going to be able to hear this very well because, well, you might be able to if it's on, if this went directly to your headphones. But you'll hear it when you're working on yours. I could put the guitar on the left side. I could put some of the other stuff, spread it around. Let's listen to some of the differences. I'll put these back so that you can hear what it's like when I change it. You might not be able to hear that because this is just one speaker, not left and right. But that's how you would make it sound really, they call it acoustical imaging. So it really makes it sound like you're in the room with the musicians. So that's one of the final things that you would do: compressing, mastering, panning, mixing for volumes, and then just making sure you listen to the whole thing a few more times before you finally go ahead and export it as an audio file, an MP3 file, once again to the desktop, and then you'll give it a name like Funky Groove by BA. And that's kind of the last part. And in the studio, you do have to make sure your files are named correctly, because that's what's going to show up on Spotify. That's going to show up on iTunes. When people play it on their car stereo, the modern ones will list off the name of the song. You can't have any typos. So that's what we're going to name it here for this class. And then you would export it, and it's going to go to the desktop. Okay? That's everything. Thanks for watching.